I'll take that. I'll take that.
I don't even know what we're doing.
Neither do we.
Welcome to the group. Do you want me to share this to newbies?
No, it's live in newbies.
Okay.
Just kind of get to cracking because you got 106 left. Robert Criswell.
I'm cracked.
Oh, you're cracked?
Yeah, Frank the Tank is in, Danita's in,
Yvonne Gensler
Robert
is
is
in.
in.
Okay, so I'm going to put this here so you can see the names.
Greetings from Missouri Radio Shack. Because remember, I used Larry as our scapegoat. I was like, oh no, see, Larry Adams used to be the general manager of. That's how we got around Radio Shack. I went, no, Larry was a GM at Radio Shack.
That's not good.
No.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. What are we doing?
What's going on in this room?
This is a cooking class, right?
No. Yes, it's like cooking.
Our picture looks like we're on a roller coaster.
The funnest roller coaster in Frisco.
Yeah.
Ladies, okay.
Kathleen's in. All right, so we got more ladies in the house.
That's right, and oh
got
God, not
Ron.
Radio Shack. Okay, so for the next 10 seconds, what we're gonna say is there is one lady, the lady in the house. Now we have 5 seconds. You ready?
Ready. Let's go.
It's like 2, 1, point at it.
Boom, just like that.
What's happening?
Just like that. Boom. It is Tuesday night,
And we are
Ladies' night.
at the shop. I blew it.
You want to start over?
Yeah, can we do it again?
Yeah. It is Tuesday night.
And we are,
Ladies' night.
and this is Cigars 101. What's up, newbies and other ladies? And also
Nice.
Carrie Himmel, too.
Hi.
Carrie
Hi.
Himmel's in the house.
Oh,
I'm here representing the ladies.
Normally, she would be doing her autograph session out front. So it's nice that she broke away.
Sharpie dried up.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
know,
it is.
Yeah,
I bet that's a big problem for you, isn't it?
It is. I
Sharpies
keep
dried out.
extras.
Yeah, that's good.
Not vain.
Most
it's fine.
Most of the big athletes.
So
have
for those who are just joining in, this is Carrie Himmel, one of our private members, and one of the coolest real estate brokers now, right?
I think mogul status.
Yeah,
Are you-
I'll go with mogul.
Yeah.
Okay, mogul. She
Come
is
on,
she is the lady mogul of Frisco. I think is the best way to put it.
I'll take
She's
it.
married to Elon Musk if he spoke real English and was not an alien. Yeah. It was also cool to sit and hang with. Who's Dan?
Elon Musk, yeah. We'll go with that. I like it.
I
like
think
it.
so as
Yeah.
well. And tonight we're going to slightly wing it because we're going to keep it open for everyone to throw some questions in there.
Yep.
Open for you to ask questions.
Okay.
And we're going to smoke a cigar with you, and we'll probably talk cigars along the way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Danita is coming in. Feel free to look down at this at any time and just start throwing out answers, asking for questions. Danita is at home in running clothes. Thanks for that.
Nice. So
Nice.
so we're actually going to get started smoking cigars, but and we'll get a cigar cut for you properly.
Okay.
But maybe you can tell us a little bit while I'm cutting your cigar for you and getting it lit. You tell us a little bit about how long you've been smoking cigars. What are some of the cigars that you like? Things like that.
Wow, this will be really good because I don't know any of the ones that I like. But what's cool about ICC is you come in and they look in the history and they tell you which ones you like that you've bought before. So I got into cigars because my husband liked cigars and started purchasing them for him, probably one of everything you guys sell for Christmas or birthdays or whatever. And then since he spent so much time up here, had to learn how to smoke them myself. But have spent some time on a cigar or tobacco farm in Nicaragua. Been to Cuba, went to a cigar place there.
Nice.
So maybe
you've done like the whole. You've done more tobacco touring than most cigar smokers have.
Yeah, I've actually done a lot for being so uneducated, and so I don't really know how to smoke them. I can tell you how to make them. I can tell you how to dry the tobacco, what to do, how to harvest, like all those things. I could probably roll one, but I'm not a good smoker, so this is really kind of cool, and I'll maybe learn. Like there was one earlier I couldn't keep lit to save my life.
Yep.
So-
And that happens.
That is perfectly fine.
Does that
because-
happen for newbies?
Yeah,
Of course it
that's
does.
what I'm. Yeah, it happens for everyone because I was smoking a cigar that I can't remember the name of, Cuatro Cinco earlier. I had to relight it over and over and over again. If you have to relight it, it's okay. It means you're probably enjoying yourself and you're talking or whatever that is, and it's going to go out. Generally, because of the oil content, it won't stay lit. It's okay.
Yeah,
It's all right.
it's okay.
Cool.
So I'm going to get you lit up.
Why don't you
Okay.
have her cut it and see how she cuts it?
Yeah, let's see how you do it.
Okay.
If you hear us go like that, then maybe you're
Then
cutting a
back
little
up
too
a
far.
little bit.
Okay. So these things scare me. Like I think of all the like.
So you're cutting
Cut
the
the
end
other
that's
side.
already
Cut
cut.
the other side.
That's right. See?
Yep.
See, pro guys. Okay. Where? You tell me where. Right there?
And
A little less.
Less.
A little less. There you go.
Less?
That looks probably good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's perfect.
It's barely.
Smash it.
Perfect.
Oh, y'all.
That was almost close to perfect. You were a little fat in the cut.
Okay.
And this is actually a perfect example. If
I
you'll know if
broke it.
you'll know because you see that wrapper is there. Now you're just gonna have to pay
Peel
attention
it?
a little bit. If
Okay.
it's perfectly straight by the time you cut it,
Yeah.
you done cut too much. If it's straight all the way without a shoulder,
Okay.
see how that one doesn't really have a shoulder?
Ah.
Keep the shoulder on, and it's gonna keep the cap on. The cap keeps the wrapper on. That's probably gonna roll on you. It doesn't really matter.
I see. It's
doesn't
already
matter.
kind of starting to peel a little bit because I.
Give it now. Cut pops.
No,
because
I don't
now,
know.
because
I'm
now
gonna
you know
mess
it.
it up.
Now you know it.
Yeah.
Y'all,
That
the,
is
the
this
pressure.
is a 100-year-old pre-embargo Cuban. It's about 475.
It's not. I know this one. Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
Hang on.
Take two
Hang on.
newbies.
Hang on.
If you
Maybe-
cut it too fat,
yeah.
it's okay.
Good. Perfect.
good?
Perfect.
Okay. And then crunch it.
Fast. There you go.
Oh, so that
That's a
wasn't
good
enough.
cut.
Perfect.
No,
No,
that's
that's
perfect.
Oh. Well,
Yeah,
there you
it was
go.
just-
Just
a
the
little bit.
cap.
Okay.
So there you have it. With live evidence, you too can cut a cigar perfectly. Your second cigar.
Wasn't that hard?
Wasn't that
So
hard?
how would you light it?
Oh. Okay. So
Because
this,
I've seen Daniel lights all your cigars.
he
for
does
you.
because I'm a little scared of the fire and there's a lot of hair going on and I'm like I've got some bad ideas. Okay. So I've seen you guys do this. So let's try.
Okay.
So I know we have to
Toast it?
Toast
toast
the
it
foot
right,
first.
and then we like roll it around a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Little.
This
there you
is live. This is what it looks like to
This
learn
is-
cigars. This is super cool. This is what we live for.
I've just seen them do this. I'm copying.
It
So
looks,
okay,
it
so
looks
it's
good.
toasted.
Okay, now pull it on up and rip away.
then with-
yep,
with the
with
light?
that flame.
Ah.
And just hold your hand down here a little bit. Down here. There you
This seems like how you get an eyebrow cut. Just toast it off by pulling on a flame.
go. Okay, now take a look at this at the end of the cigar.
Okay.
Blow your smoke into it.
Welcome
so you
in,
can kind of
Drew.
blow into
Sean Ratz.
this a little bit and
Blow
see if
into
it
it?
all gets red. So
No.
you just got a little bit that you need to hit.
So I need to do it more.
Yep.
Yep. There we go.
Perfect.
You're smoking a cigar.
You're
You
smoking a
have
cigar.
you have learned how to
Look at that.
perfectly cut. Now when Daniel tells you, you say, I can do things too.
Yep.
Okay?
I'm a big girl.
I'm a big girl.
Got it.
So,
Well,
so those who are just joining in, what we're going to do is take a little bit different approach. What we've never done is actually sat aside from Clancy, who sat there and knows unbelievably little about cigars, considering how many he smoked. We're sitting with Carrie Himmel, and we are I almost called you Daniel with Carrie, and we are kind of walking through the cigar process. We're going to sit and smoke them. Please feel free to ask questions, and we're going to get into one question that I have, which is, what is the perception from a lady's perspective of who cigars are for and what the cigar culture is?
Obviously men, and probably macho a-hole men.
Yes, there's evidence of that. Macho a-hole men.
Yeah.
Those are cigar smokers.
yeah.
I'm curious.
Sorry, guys.
I'm curious what everyone who's watching, drop in the comments below.
Yep.
What is your description and your perception of a cigar smoker? I'm curious where that compares, because I think it's like everything. A culture is one thing until you get into it and then you see something different.
Maybe unapproachable.
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 You know, in many locations, you may be right.
Yep.
You may be right.
So now with this cigar is actually a Tatiscan. It's dipped. The tip of it is dipped in a sweet fluid. So when you smoke it and then you lick your lips, the sugar will be on your lips. And then that goes on your palate, so then it will stay a little sweeter. It's not as sweet as the deadwood that you were smoking that is actually infused with a sugar. But this is just that
Yeah, this is-
the very end of that cigar, and it'll just give you a little bit of sweetness to just kind of knock the edge off.
Oh,
is.
Tony Hogan, what's up? What's up, buddy?
This is it's really light and easy, and you're right, just slightly sweet, where the other one was like Cocoa Pebbles or something.
So talk to me. You've smoked a lot of different cigars. You've smoked uninfused cigars, infused cigars. Where do you fall in that spectrum, and where do you see your trajectory going of cigar smoking?
Wow. I feel like it's kind of like wine. I feel like it's really, really fun to learn. And I think, when you're just starting to drink wine, you start out with the disgusting Moscato. It's really sweet. Gets you in, you have a glass of it or something, and then you branch out to maybe a rosé. Then you get some legs underneath you, and then you're like, okay, maybe I'll try a Pinot, and then maybe I'll work my way up to a Cab or a Malbec. And I feel like that's really the same with cigars. And, you start with the really sweet ones and start to learn how to smoke it and what to do with it. And then you want to branch out a little bit and not just have the sugary sweet ones a little bit. So that's how I feel like I'm doing.
No, I think you're exactly right. But the cool thing is the world used to be flavored or not flavored. But what you have is the best of both worlds on that front. Is everything you're smoking on the front end of it doesn't include the oils that or the infusion process that this has. But on your lips, you get that little hit of sweetness.
Yeah, this one's nice.
That and the Angelique is.
Yep.
Oh, I like
really
I've had the
nice,
Angelique too. I like
Similar
that one
concept.
too. Yeah, I really like this one a lot too.
So we got Susan Kirby is in. The ladies are in the house.
Yay! Hi,
in the
girls.
house and in the house.
Yeah,
I love it.
I like that.
That's great.
Susan Kirby could be in my house because she is my neighbor.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So here's Sean Ratz. Sean Ratz thinks when it comes to what does a cigar smoker look like to you, depends on the lounge. The people at ICC are very approachable if you feel like approaching. If you want to sit there and chill, respect the people, and they'll respect that as well. I think that's right. We've got lucky.
I think there's a lot of shops that when they built their shop, they put the humidor in the back. And when you walk in, it's like you're walking right into the living room. And as soon as you open the door, the regulars all look at you like, what are you doing in my house? Yeah. And you get that walk into the humidor where they're just watching you the whole way.
It's a gauntlet. Especially as a woman walking into an unfamiliar place. It is a gauntlet. You walk in and you're like, oh, am I supposed to be here?
I've felt that exact same way. I know my way around cigars, and you hop into it, and you go, I'm not in my house right now. I'm not welcome here.
Right.
What are some things that could be done that may help bring more ladies to the hobby, we'll call it the hobby of cigar smoking, do you think?
Your Cigar 101. I think this is really nice, having a woman sit here and go through it and talk about it. I don't know. You know what you guys did that was really cool was the chocolate and cigars.
Yep.
So they did this class a while back that they brought a chocolatier in, and we did chocolate and cigars tasting. That was a really fun way to get to know the lounge better, to get to know a couple of different cigars better, to do some tasting notes. That was cool. Ladies love wine and cigar night.
So it sounds like just a pairing evening.
I think that makes it more approachable, because if you're just coming in for a cigar and you're not familiar with the cigar, it's intimidating. You're like, well, what if I don't like it? What am I going to do? If you have wine or if you have chocolate or something we know we like, then it makes it a little easier to kind of ease in.
Yep, that's a good. What are some things that you have questions about from a cigar perspective? Or is it at a point where you're just along for the ride, you don't really care, just give me something to smoke? Is there anywhere you feel that there's a gap of knowledge?
Well, I'm so new. I don't have any knowledge. I really don't. I'm just starting to learn. I will say that's one thing that you guys do really, really well is when I come in, I can ask questions and not feel bad about asking questions and say, hey, I smoked the chocolate one. Now I want something a little different, or now I want a big girl one. And you guys are so approachable and so easy to just talk to about that stuff and make me not feel like an idiot. So
well, but from the factory floor, so to speak, what was your biggest takeaway while in Nicaragua?
Oh man, in Nica, it was small. It was a smaller place. I really got a lot of my knowledge in Cuba, but just the art of it and what a beautiful process it is, the people behind it, that this is their livelihood, and it's just much more beautiful than you would imagine or you would think.
It is.
It is. Couldn't agree more.
It's an art form, and that's why one of the big things that we always talk about from a shop etiquette standpoint is don't stomp the cigar out when it's over, because you really want to pay homage to the artists that put it together, and you saw the amount of labor that goes into the stacking of the tobacco and the picking of the tobacco and the aging of the tobacco. All of those things, there's so much passion that the people that do it have been doing it for years.
Yeah, the families and the people behind it. Like this is, it's
generational.
really beautiful.
If you look at Nicaragua, you have Plasencia. They've been farming since 1865.
Wow.
Just think about how many generations have passed through, and all they've done from birth to death is just farm tobacco.
Right.
That's wild to see and to understand on that side. Now, it probably doesn't. I don't think too many people, and I just want to air this out there because I'm not sure, but when we see there are very few opportunities to experience the factory and very few shops that want to bring you into that factory world. I'm curious how many people, you included, and anyone who's watching, do you care to see that world and how much different that is? Or is it just a lack of understanding that another world even exists?
I like to see it, but I'm very inquisitive, very entrepreneurial, so I want to see, I want to know, but I don't know if I'm the norm when it comes to that, but yeah, I'm very fascinated how things work, how they're built, how they're made, what's behind it, how did I get this, and why can't I have Cubans, and why do other people get Cubans, and why are, all those things, but yeah, I like to learn about it.
Which, did you go to the factories in Havana, or did you go to the farms outside of it?
I went to one of the factories in Havana. I think it was Romeo and Julieta. And then I went to a smaller, and I don't remember, it's been a couple years, but I went to the farm, and I believe that farm did production for a couple different brands.
Okay.
I think is how that worked.
That would make sense.
Yeah,
If they produce the tobacco, a lot will bring that stuff in there.
Okay, where'd your lighter go? Because I'm, again, newbie. I
Here
can't
you
keep
go.
it lit. So now what do I do if I'm going to relight this guy?
So
Same thing?
What you want to do is knock the remnants of the ash off of there just by rolling it around the edges like this.
Okay.
And then that will kind of fall off. That's because when you relight through that ash, now maybe it's just not big enough to fall off, but when you relight through the ash, it will get a little bit chalky and a little bitter.
Okay.
So you'll just fire that back up. You can go straight at it if you like. Oh, did we run out of fuel?
No, there's fuel.
How do you turn the lighter on?
You're doing the lighter
Hold on
way.
a second, you have to go like this. Turn
Maybe
on.
that's a good question to start with.
You're gone broomed
Here we
it.
go. Here's another one.
All right.
Is that one gonna work? So here on Cigars 101, what we talk about tonight is really the importance of preparation. Because you don't want to be in the middle of a show and then realize that there's no fuel in the lighters
No, I
when
just
we're
put
talking
fuel in
about
it.
it. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Do I
So
do
that's
the same
exactly
thing?
right. So go ahead and puff that up again. When you see the flame, push out.
There you go.
Like push out,
Yep,
push
Yep,
through
you
it.
did it.
Yep.
You want to just like this. And that will, any of the oils or anything that's kind of coagulated on the end, it kind of purges that out. So you're not going to pull the oils back into the cigar.
And we just do that upon lighting.
Yep. Relighting
We don't.
particularly.
Okay.
Yep.
Relighting. Okay.
And so
Cool.
And one of the things we talk about it on cigars on Cigar Newbies every week, and that is to not be afraid. You do kind of a short pull. So what I would say, you're pulling in maybe a 25% pull.
Okay.
So when you release the smoke, it's really kind of light.
Okay.
Do a little bit longer pull.
Okay.
And slowly, so that your brain has a chance to engage what's happening with your palate. You release it right away, but
Hold it.
just like this.
hold it. And really long draws. Slow, long draws. And every time, if you just think about getting a bigger and bigger one, you're going to pull more and more. And then you can start moderating how much you want in.
Now, one of the things I did notice she did, and I don't know if our friend Rodney Smith is watching, but she actually retrohaled, where you push that last little bit out your nose. That activates the nerves in your nose that activates your palate and actually turn up the volume of the flavor significantly.
It really did. I noticed it.
Julie is tuning in. Thank you, Julie. She said, I always blow out the old smoke before I relight my cigar. That is exactly right. push that out, purge that out.
Oh,
get those
so do a
oils
blow
moved.
through it before you
yes.
light it? Okay.
Kind of a good test. If you have a cigar that's been sitting there for a minute, if you just want to see if there's still any ember, just
and then look at the
and
bottom
that'll let you know that there's still something lit. So you got you still have fire.
Okay.
So if you still have fire, then you can pull a couple of times, and then that'll get that lit. But typically, once you've been smoking for a while, there's this natural, I've got to hit it about once a minute kind of thing.
The cadence. You
There's
start
just
realizing the cadence.
a natural cadence that happens.
It's like babysitting your kids. You're like 90 seconds. All right. One of
Right.
them has crashed. One of them has fallen. You get that same babysitting mentality to it.
That's what Daniel was telling me a little while ago when we were doing the earlier mastermind is you got to pull on it every minute. And as ladies, I think we talk too much.
Well, as men, we also talk. As Franks, we talk too much.
Yes.
Yeah. So we just.
Frank says I do too. So I don't know if that's
He
talking
was
too much.
responding saying he blows the old smoke out before the old
Nice.
smoke, but he purges it every time he lights. And Frank actually does that about 1,000 times per cigar because he can't keep a cigar lit for more than maybe a draw at a time. So when he basically every time he takes a draw of a cigar, he's purging it out. So that's where go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the other lesson is let the ash fall off when it wants to.
I was gonna ask you that because you see, I'm on the gram all the time or in all the cigar things. You see, it's is it a cool kid thing to keep the ash as long as you can keep it?
It's a cool smoke thing.
Okay.
Because the more that ash is on there, the more it's creating this house and this insulation for the ember that's in the inside.
Okay.
We want to keep it sounds counterintuitive, but we want to keep everything cool all the time. So the cooler the ember you get, the less bitterness you get.
Okay.
The more you knock this open, the more this is going to be a hot ash around.
So that's kind of like when you get to the end. Like when you get to the end, it gets like that.
It'll get hot.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
right.
So if you knock the ash off it, you're going to have that same sensation or that same thing.
Exactly. And just hot bitterness you're going to get, or depending on the cigar, you may not get bitterness, but you're going to have a lesser experience if you continuously knock it off.
Okay. So we're keeping the insulation on there. To
So
keep the,
and the key is cool smoke. We talk about cool smoke a lot, and the importance of cool smoke. You know, the other day I used the analogy to a guy that was talking about how the cigar gets really bitter at the end, and he was talking about a cigar that was a little bit smaller than this, and he's like, I go, this should last you probably hour and a half to 2 hours. He's like, oh no, that'll last me about 20 minutes. And I said, well, at the end, do they get really bitter? He said, yeah, they get really bitter. So that means he's really huffing and puffing on that thing and getting it really hot. Well, heat kills flavor. So what you want to do is keep that smoke as cool as you can. Manage the burn. Okay, you're doing a great job there. The ash is great. Don't worry about it falling down. The thing is, as you know, by going to the farms, it is 100% natural. If you spill it on your clothes, they actually used to use tobacco ash as a cleaning element.
Oh.
So they would burn tobacco ash and put it on rugs. They'd rub it in and then knock it out. So it's going to fall off when it wants to fall off, but to Brandon's point, you want to keep it cool. But one of the things that I can show a newbie, and if you're a newbie out there or if you're experienced, is the difference of what cool smoke tastes like. So I'm going to show you a smoking technique that particularly when you get towards the end and things start to heat up.
Yeah.
The first pull I'm going to have you do is just take a really more aggressive pull, but just think about what the impact is to the front of your palate when you take a regular pull.
Okay.
So with that, you'll notice a little tingling on the end of your palate. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a technique that's called smoking up. All you're really thinking about is I want to take the smoke to the roof of my mouth. So I just go like this.
And as you're doing that,
See how
Yvonne,
cool that smoke is?
Yes.
You retrohale. You retrohale all of it.
Okay, so Yvonne, as you do that again correctly, we don't mind cleaning the ash off the floor, and our simple philosophy is this: if you're here and you're making a mess, aside from chicken wings and an ashtray, it means we're in business, which means there are no problems. So if it drops on the floor, no problem. We'll come and sweep it up. Let us know. I appreciate the respect and not wanting to leave a mess. But if it falls off, it falls off.
I worry
It's
about
okay.
that too. That's a good question. Like I'm a little concerned like it's gonna fall on
If
the
it
table.
falls, that's okay.
And
Just
Don't
as
worry
long
about
as you don't treat it like Texas Roadhouse and you're like ashing it on
Yeah.
the floor and doing that.
Okay.
If you can and it gets long, then go ahead and knock it off. But no, there's no problem. If it falls, it falls. That's not an issue at all. It's super easy to clean up cigar ash.
Cool.
But
Okay.
yeah, one of the techniques as you get closer to the end is just smoking it up like that, holding the cigar straight up, about a 60% pull. The smoke is half the temperature.
Very cool. I had no idea.
Very, very smooth, and that will help you get through the end of the cigar if the cigar is starting to get kind of bitter.
Yeah, and what I think the biggest difference is, and what I noticed when doing that was, at first and for many years, I just smoked the cigar, and then when I was exhaling, the last 20%, I just tried to like snapshot what flavor was. But with that, I take the sensation and the heat off of my palate, so I could pay attention a little bit more. And I just started, if you just draw that slower and longer, not as much heat, you get more flavor. But I'll tell you one thing, Jake Powell last week taught us a really unique opposite technique to that, which was putting your tongue to your teeth at the bottom and letting that smoke slowly roll over your palate and being very diligent in the way that it rolls to your palate. And it was a different sensation to it.
And that, and there again, slowly pull it in will prevent the heat from coming in. It's, I always ask, what does hot soup taste like? It tastes hot. Until it cools down, you don't get any of the flavors. So the same thing will happen with this. It's the same thing that happens with coffee or any of the other things. If you have something that's too hot, all you get is impact. You feel it. You don't taste it. So with this, as you smoke it slower, it'd be like wine or any of the other things. If you smoke it slower, you concentrate on it, you'll get more of the nuances of the flavor out of the cigar, and then you can start really making inroads in your journey with cigars, because now you start finding flavors that you like, and then you can start guiding towards other cigars that may deliver that and some other stuff as well.
A question that I have for you is, what is your most memorable overall cigar experience? It may not have to do with the cigar itself, but just an experience that you may have shared with your boys or with your with Daniel, or what is something you'll never forget?
Okay, I've got one. Well, obviously the tobacco farms and stuff, because it's just beautiful and it's cool and it's in its raw element, and they have some there for you, and smoking in the field, like, that was just magical. And I think that gave me a respect and just to honor it, like you were talking about. So that was really cool and magical. But I know that's not like an everyday thing. But one fun thing is we actually went to your house one night. It was really cool. We were at Brandon's house. We came over, and Brandon was out this big old toy box of cigars. I mean, it's seriously like a kid's toy box, and he's like fishing through. And that was when we were pretty new in our cigar education, and it was so fun because you just like pulled out 5 or 6, and we're like, we're gonna just do all of these, and it was really, really cool, and it was educational, and we just all passed them around and tried them, and it was such a really cool, neat way to experience it with friends. It was a social thing. But then, usually you pick one stick and you're stuck. And it was such a cool, fun thing to really get to experience a lot really quick.
I agree. That is one of my favorite things. And I remember that night very clearly. It was a blast. And when you have people who come in, and I recommend you do this and pick up maybe a couple cigars that are not super expensive cigars, but you can slap down 3 cigars per person. And when you lay it down and you have this whole gamut of different cigars to select from, you get to have this Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory type of experience where you go, oh, I like that. Yeah. Oh, here, try it. And you just fire them and just let them rock. And then everyone kind of settles into what cigar they have. And so you see which one matches your palate. But
it was so fun. Like, nobody does that. Like, and you pick one and you go home and you work on it. But I thought that was really eye-opening. It was really, really cool. And it was fun.
And it brings up a good point, which is, you're exactly right. Usually you pick your one, you give your 1 hour investment, you figure out if you like it or don't, and then you have to make that guess.
Then you have to do it
again.
and then you're like, how many times do I have to do this to figure out what I like?
Yep.
So that was really cool.
Smoke multiple cigars.
So that's
just get them all.
And I think that's probably one of the keys.
Buy 'em all.
And you guys, you're on that path, but it's something that I strongly recommend. Particularly, a lot of times when people come in, we talk a lot about the country of origin of the wrapper, of the binder, and of the filler. And some cigars you'll hear a cigar that may be a Nicaraguan Puro. If it's referred to as a Puro, it means all the tobacco in that cigar is from that country of origin. But now a lot of companies are mixing it up and they're using tobaccos from other countries. But people will hear about Nicaraguan cigars in general. They hear about Dominican and they hear about Honduran. Buy a Nicaraguan cigar and buy a Dominican cigar and smoke them both at the same time and see if there's a characteristic in one or the other that is something that you really enjoy, and then explore from that. You may find that certain tobaccos, like Dominican tobaccos, maybe have a little bit more pepper, but they have a little less oil. It doesn't sit as heavy on your palate. So you might want to, once you kind of pick that lane, then you kind of wander around in that lane.
Snapshot. This moment right now, when he's talking all of that, what is in your mind?
Don't just buy one cigar, like buy 2 or 3. Like we get so caught up in this is the way we should do things, or we just get in our heads like this is what we do. We go in, we buy a cigar, we do it. And like most people wouldn't think, no, I can light 3 at the same time. Nobody's the boss of me. I do what I want. Like I can light 3, and like maybe people just wouldn't have thought about that.
But no,
so,
I mean I don't drink, but you see these wine tastings and stuff. No one's ever just everybody's got all these multiple bottles, and you're trying different regions, and there's so many more regions obviously with wine, but and the same thing with spirits. No one ever brings one big bottle and plunks it down. They're usually experimenting. So why not do the same thing
then
with
I'm
cigars?
thinking you need to package them up and have them ready to go. Like here's the Explorer taste pack. Here's the soft, like
especially if they were all smaller half Coronas or something small, right? Where you don't feel like it's going to take too long. But if they were small little testers, this is set to be smoked at the same time. That could be a cool thing to run with.
What do you guys think? Is that something you guys would be interested in?
Yeah, let us know, because we could put that together. And I will tell you from my perspective, if somebody came to usually I'll ask, okay, which one are you smoking first? I'm smoking that. How would you like it cut? Can I light it? But if someone said, if I asked, which one are you smoking first? He said, I'm smoking them both at the same time. All right, let's rock and roll, baby.
What just happened?
Let's go.
Yeah. What just happened?
It wouldn't, you might get a weird look depending on where you go, but more kudos. So the first to do that, kudos to you.
Right?
Yeah.
Or be like Brandon, get some friends together, sit outside. It's super COVID friendly. Like come up here and buy 10 and bring 6 people over and light them up and have fun with it. Make it a...
And I think more importantly, also, if you're into wine or you're into spirits, bring some of those and experiment, because you may find that a $6 cigar pairs perfectly with your favorite wine. Yeah. That some of the other cigars may be a little out of balance. And if you find something that's the perfect pairing, like you found the tequila with the particular KBF Gold cigar, that those two created this magic flavor when you did that. Then all of a sudden you found something that marries together, kind of a peanut butter and jelly kind of effect.
Yeah, and that is the beauty with pairing cigars with anything, is there is such a wide girth of options. When it comes to, many people ask, they say, what is going to pair with this? Yeah. Pair the cigar you like with the drink you like, it's going to work. Yeah. Every once in a while you'll find that perfect, but you can just know if you like drinking a cab, well, we can find a cigar that will work with a cab, but run those. There are very few perfect pairings like that.
Yeah. Jake is he's reliving one of our favorite experiences. We had cigars together, apparently in the bathroom together.
Yes. So yes, good ventilation in there.
But yeah, he
I don't know if we want to hear about this.
No, JP comes in every week.
JP comes in all the time, and he's best known for his balls, and usually has that comment on Saturday at the shop.
No, he just comes in and writes balls, and then you give him attention. We have a lady here. We have a lady here, and you're over here talking.
And he's asking, and we're wondering why it's unapproachable.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
How much of the back and forth of guys being guys is a deterrent from ladies entering cigars?
I don't think it's that big of a deterrent. I think as long as like that was inclusive and talking. I think if it's not inclusive and it's over in a sidebar conversation, that can be where it gets uncomfortable. But I think if it's inclusive, then it's everybody knows that boys have balls. It's not that big a deal. Like it's
This
not
just
that.
in.
This is,
You know, I think it's where it's the inclusive versus the versus.
well,
the
our
makes
old
sense.
neighbor Dave Adcock is watching from Omaha.
Go Big
I think
Red.
he's still in Omaha. Go Big Red. And then
That's
Jake
it.
says he's having a hard time
Yeah.
concentrating
We just
just
roll
looking
it?
at my beautiful face. So there's that.
Just go like that. You'll just roll it against the side,
Okay.
and then it'll just drop off.
She's
It's not ready.
there you go.
There you go.
And then I'm gonna do that just a little bit more so we don't ash everywhere. I think one of the things too that I was really fun to learn is you obviously think that cigars go with spirits because that's what you see in the movies. You see the gangster there with the cigar and the whatever it is. But it was really cool to learn how Dr. Pepper goes really well with
Diet Dr.
cigars.
Peppers,
Chocolate milk goes really well with cigars.
Amen.
Like, so that's something that I thought was really cool. Even sometimes just like a soda water to cut the
Oh yeah,
the
you're
heavy
right.
smoke and the I guess you would say the oils in it, because sometimes it gets heavy on your palate.
Very well. It would just keep your palate nice and clean and ready
Yeah.
to roll.
Yeah,
So that's
and
kinda
we
nice.
we got nerdy last week and we talked about the different spots of the palate and what parts of the palate pick things up. And a big part of what happens and why Cuban cigars are somewhat different is because of the pH in their soil. And soil really impacts the tobacco all around the world. But what's interesting is the thing that will neutralize pH is alkaline. And alkaline is typically what's found in like mineral waters. So it's really good that if you had something that's very acidic and has a very low pH, like tomatoes, things like that drinking a mineral water will actually cleanse your palate really good because it's got a higher pH and it kind of knocks that out. So.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So what you're seeing right there is that cigar's running just a little bit, and as you ash it, sometimes that will happen.
Okay.
So what you want to do is just take that lighter,
Okay.
and then just
Am I
touch
gonna
that
even
up.
it out?
Yep, just even it out. Just touch it on up. And it's funny because you can tell when someone isn't comfortable because
Yeah, I'm
there's
like,
such easy.
the
If you just pick
things.
this up, you pick it up, but you
I'm
see
like,
No,
the
it's like she's
things.
handling a nuclear rod. Or
I'm
like
like,
a baby,
there's-
someone else's baby.
There we go.
there you go.
And
Okay,
you
and
don't,
then, like, the
yeah.
side, right?
And
You're
don't
doing
even,
it right there. You're
Yep,
doing perfect.
just nothing more than touch it up. You don't need to puff
Okay.
on it, but you're just gonna make sure that it's nice and even, and you touch that.
Wow,
There
I
you
feel
go.
like
Perfect.
a pro.
There it is.
I mean, very
Perfect.
cool.
So, dear Cigar 101, I can't get my wife to join me in this endeavor. Can't get her to the shop. Can't get her to do whiskey drops. What are the chances of this relationship making it past a 15-year mark?
Aww.
Somewhere between 1 and 928. I don't know.
Yeah, let's see.
It could work. I mean, it could work. She lets you get out and play a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Yvonne is asking, what's the ratio of male and female cigar smokers here? And I believe if we look at the overall cigar smokers, what do you think our ratio
Here at
is
the
on
shop?
that? Mm-hmm.
I would say on the weekends we're closer to probably 25% women. I would say during the week it's more like 5%.
It's very low.
Yeah,
It's very low.
But there are a number of women out there that are regulars here that they smoke cigars that are no joke. The fullest cigars what we would call a big boy cigar. Some cigars that I wouldn't smoke just because I don't smoke anything really super strong. But some of these women they get serious with them.
I'll tell you, every time I'm in here on the weekend, there's a woman here. Almost every time. I'll pop in during the week to pick up something or to pick up some cigars, and maybe not so much during the week, like during the workday, but every time I'm here on the weekend, there's always another woman here.
Yeah, most certainly. And Keisha comes in on Tuesday nights, just Keisha and Aaron Klaus. It's a couple that comes in.
yeah.
What I see is couples is really the key
Yeah.
of ladies making their way in. First Fridays and events, that's easier. There are many more. I think there are some First Fridays where we're basically 50-50 on a couple of them. But yeah, we don't see many ladies who are coming in, and that's where my question is what can we do to integrate? Because I think we find a lot of ladies who come in and say, "Oh, well, this is an environment where I can be comfortable and respected." Mm-hmm. And just opening that door is a gap that I don't know how to bridge.
Do you think this is, I know that, like, if women are in the market, mm-hmm. and they may go to a bar, they may go to a nightclub or something, and they may have a motive other than just drinking.
Right.
Okay. Do you think that women would think, I'm going to go to a cigar lounge because it's a target-rich environment? Or
No.
do you think they want to go there and go, I just want to go where I'm not going to get pinged on all night. I don't have to give out my phone number all night. Things like that. Now, I think we're blessed in that our guys just are very respectful of the women that come in, and it's good. But there are a couple lounges in town, or a couple of shops in town that I've heard, that it may be a different reason that women go into the shops. I don't think that's the case here.
I don't think that's the case here. Yeah, no. I mean, but ladies, that's a really good idea. Like, if you're single, yeah. Maybe don't go to the steakhouse bar. Maybe come to ICC and make a loop around here.
Yeah, most certainly. So, do you recognize this name, this Brian fella coming in?
Yeah, I do. Hey, Brian. Brian and Whitney. Yeah, I know Brian.
That's awesome. Well, welcome in, Brian.
Bring Whitney.
Bring Whitney. We are talking about it, and maybe we just need to do
a couple times.
We can come in and put that with a pairing.
Did you guys do a date night before?
We did. We've done a couple date nights, and they are a blast. Where it's a full meal, it's wine, it's the whole deal. It basically turns into a little restaurant back here. But
we were talking about that earlier, about how sometimes for couples you're looking for fun things to do for date night that's not going out to a restaurant that's overhyped, that maybe hasn't earned the prices that it's charging, and we're just getting so tired of that. We want something else fun to go do, and so maybe another one of those date nights.
Let's do it. Yeah, I think that would be blast. That's a blast. Maybe even just as a first Friday. One of the first Fridays could just be date night.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think that could be a really nice, keep it nice
and
classy.
It kind of turns into that to a certain extent. No, I think that would be fantastic. One of the things that you might want to touch on is something that you're working with Edgar on, as we're talking about Cigar 101s and things like that. This is Cigar like 201.
This is deeper than that.
It could be the coolest thing in the history of Cigar 101.
Exactly right. And Brian, bear down to you as well, my friend. I
think that means go Cowboys.
In a roundabout way. That means go Cowboys. It depends on where you're from and where you're at. But we do have something coming up which is going to be really unique. And I won't get too far into it, but we're going to do a night at the factory here. And when I say a night at the factory, I mean music, and we will have a live roller. We'll actually have an opportunity for certain VIPs to go and blend their own cigar live at the moment, smoke each individual leaf, put them together, put it on a sushi menu, give it to the roller. They're going to create your witness cigar. If you like it, you can buy a box or whatever of your own blend and
They'll
your
have
own
it made
cigar.
just for you.
Wow.
Yeah. And then that will come back in. And if other people like your blend, then they can buy your blend of cigars that you do. And it won't be completely, well, I hope this is good, because we're going to have Edgar Hoyle, who is the creator and owner of One Shot, One Kill, Osaka Cigars. He's going to be here actually blending using the same tobacco. So you could use him as the guide, and you have three opportunities to go through, and you can say, hey, do you think this is going to work? And he'll give you a little bit of guidance there.
That's really cool. That's like the next level of having a drink on the menu at the bar.
Well, it's almost like you were talking about having a date night. Imagine a date night with a Michelin chef, and the Michelin chef is gonna, here's all the ingredients. Here, you mix some stuff up. Do you think this is gonna be good? Here's how I would put it together,
so
and then
cool.
you're gonna do it.
And then that's really cool. And he's not gonna let you mess it up. So you're gonna win.
Well, and that's it, because we'll know the tobacco's gonna work well together.
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
Check that out. That's going to be, it looks like early June for that event.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of events that we do that sell out quickly. I can't imagine that that's going to last longer than just a couple of minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hear you on that. Oh, it looks like something's there. I won't have you watch me read. I don't know word good that well.
Yeah.
Words
I went
are
to
hard.
Nebraska public school.
Words are really hard. Words are hard.
Almost as hard as numbers, but when they're used together.
Yeah, it's a lot.
From your perspective, what's it like to see Daniel get deeper and deeper into cigars and really nerd out? He's nerded out from the beginning, but what's it like to watch your husband and your kids get together and start to get into this?
Well, I see a friend on here. Hi, Tanya. So I gotta give a shout out to Tanya.
Hi, Tanya.
I love it. Like you've seen, like I come in and I'll latch onto it and get in one of everything. But I love it. I love the hobby. I love the camaraderie. I love he's a learner, and so I love him learning something new. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's such a great, like, ladies, send your guys up here. It's such a great, safe, welcoming, educational environment. So I think it's just the best thing. Like, sometimes I'm like, why don't you go work at ICC today? Why don't you go do that? So from a wife's perspective, it's just really cool.
It's really cool to hear. Hearing Daniel talk about having cigars with the boys. They're right at about the age when we started smoking cigars together.
Yeah.
And you see this handoff.
Yeah.
And you two should talk about that if you haven't already, and being able to utilize cigars as a positive tool to life versus something you do at a wedding or on the beach, but use it as a tool.
I think that it's part of our story that as we got started, but for me, when the boys left high school and I coached their football, and then they actually started being with real good coaches and going through that process. But once they go to college and they come back as adults, my question was, how am I going to be a dad to adults?
Yeah.
And this gift that we could do for hours, and we can talk about cigars, but we can talk about life, and it does it in a way that you don't sound like a parent going, parenting. You're having that camaraderie that you would normally have with others. You're just having it with your kids, and it's one of those things that I'll tell you, as soon as this is lit, if I have a problem, it's gone. This erases what's going on, and then you can be focused on whatever the environment is. Like when we did Maduro Masterminds tonight, which was really, really cool, by the way. But to be able to just sit there with your cigar, and how much more creative you get, how much more open you're thinking when you're doing those things. So it kind of gets you out of the uptight, how am I going to pay my bills type of a environment, and let you actually relax and enjoy the moment. And the moment doesn't last a moment; it lasts an hour or 2 hours.
It's that connection that's hard. As we're in that transition right now too, from going from parenting, kids, which is kind of easy. You just kind of do what you do, and then you get through those hard teen years, and then there's that shift where you start to parent adults, and it's different, and you're looking for that connection, and you're looking for those ways, and y'all sharing your story. I mean, we talk about it at our house all the time. We have two 18-year-old boys and a 21-year-old, and we want for our family what you guys have done. And so, like, we love watching your example of you parenting, even now, like your adult kids that have families. And so it's really good for us to see. So Daniel just went on a trip, came in here, bought a couple cigars, and took them on the trip and started teaching the boys. And I think that's
so
something,
cool.
It's from your example. And I think that's something that parents don't think about, let's connect over a cigar.
Well, it is by complete accident. We've stumbled into something that's very special because as a young man or as a child, it was my dad thinks I'm old enough and mature enough to do this, so I'm gonna step up and I've got to be mature enough for
it's
it.
kind of a rite of passage,
It
right?
really
it's
is
like
a rite of passage.
you give that little leeway, and you're gonna rise to the occasion.
And I think it also allows your kids to see who you really are too.
Yeah.
Because they've seen you parenting, and always, usually the answer is no whenever they ask. But when you can sit down and they can all of a sudden see, he's not an asshole like he was for the first 18 years of my life.
Well, no, we never really thought you were an asshole except for when you were coaching us in football. But we realized you were right when you said, you little pussies better get your head out of your asses before I kill all of you. It wasn't kill all of you, but it was something strong like that.
I was going to kill you.
But the first part of that was a direct quote.
Yeah.
And I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
But he was right. And yes, sometimes you need to be.
Yep. And now you've got a 4-year-old daughter, and I'm sure you tell her the same thing.
She cracked her face yesterday, and I was like, toughen up, let's go. You're going to be dumb, you better be tough. So,
Faye, that's a t-shirt.
Yeah. Life lessons here, guys. Parenting 101, not Cigars 101.
Yeah, that's...
from the pros.
Right. So, backing up to the cigar, what is that cigar telling you? What are you taking from that cigar, if anything?
Just rip it off there.
That's pretty deep. I don't know. I like this one.
See now how you've touched it up.
Yeah.
Now the burn is good all the way around.
Yeah, I did it. I fixed
Where you
it.
didn't have the run, you fixed it.
You coached me well. I don't know, Brandon. I don't know if I'm deep enough to do that. Why don't you give me some hints?
No, that's actually an answer in and of itself, because the fact that you have not been able to digest the cigar and let it know what it's telling you means you've been present with what happens here.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important for ladies to know as well as men, but it's not even as much as this. It's the weirdest thing to me, and I am reminded of this all the time. This somehow in your hand burning, creating smoke and ash, makes this easier.
Yeah.
And for ladies, I think it's very similar to a glass of wine.
It's a prop.
It's a prop.
It's a prop.
It's a prop to camaraderie, and it doesn't get it to a point where you have to figure out how the hell am I getting home, or alter your mindset. And that's one thing I appreciate the most, is get everything you like out of the social interaction without the negative side effects of certain things. Now, will cigars occasionally get you buzzed up? Yes, it will. Most certainly. Will, if you drink too much the night before and smoke cigars, will you have a hangover? Absolutely. But it is something that you can escape and go do your own thing without the other effects.
Now one of the things as I'm watching you smoke the cigar, that you're like almost intentionally staying away from the flame.
Yeah.
I've
got a lot of hair, y'all.
So
a lot of hair.
So just roll it around and feel down here by the fire.
Yeah,
it's not that hot. So that's where if you just hold, like, see how you hold the cigar, instead of doing, if you're like this and it's like you're afraid of that, but you can be right there, and this is usually a good gauge that just tells me, am I smoking it too hot? Because if it was too hot, I couldn't put my finger there. I'd be here and I'd feel the heat.
Yeah.
But here I want to just use that as just kind of a method to just feel where I'm at heat-wise, and it gives me some stability when I hold the cigar.
Yeah.
But you're kind of trapped on the wrapper.
It was kind of gingerly.
And I think if you just kind of hold it, it's not gonna
That's
hurt.
a good point. Yeah, like you can.
And now you can just
it's
hold
more. It's more sturdy than you feel like it is.
Exactly, and you can notice. And I've actually noticed from the time you picked up the cigar to now, your comfort level is you don't think about how do I hold this. Like when you think about breathing, then you think, okay, breathe in, breathe out.
Right.
Same thing with holding a cigar. Okay, hold the cigar, don't drop the cigar, hold the cigar. But once you just get away, I just notice how much more comfortable and you can move it around. You can just get comfortable with the grip.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because as we talk about heat kills flavor, that's one way for you to kind of monitor what's going on, by just having your fingers in a place where you can kind of feel that heat. Yeah. And if it's too hot, you'll know it. But it's just kind of a cool way to take control of the cigar a little bit.
So newbie question: when I get a cigar, like there's all the different sizes and shapes, and I'm learning those as I go. But how long should you plan on spending with your cigar? Like if I'm going to go have a glass of wine with the girls, I know that's going to be about a 10-hour commitment. I mean,
you're going to need more than one cigar.
Right. So if I'm going to go have a cigar at the shop, what kind of time commitment is that? What am I looking at? Like what is?
I think a good rule of thumb is just an hour.
Yeah.
If you just say it's going to take me an hour, you can gauge most cigars, even a Robusto, which is about a 5-inch cigar, or a Toro, which is about a 6-inch cigar. Generally, that one is called a Corona.
This is a Corona?
That's called a Corona.
Okay.
So
and what do you have?
This one is technically kind of a Toro Plus, a Toro Extra.
You can make up all sorts of names.
Yeah, because a cigar that's this big around is typically called a Toro or a Gordo, but they're typically about this long. This one was about that long. So it was and they'll do like a Robusto Extra, or they'll have a double Corona.
Now,
which is just large.
Is yours going to take longer than mine because it's bigger, or no?
It depends. A lot of it really depends on the cigar itself, the tobacco, and some cigars have a slower combustion rate than other cigars do. So some will vary. And Brandon asked a great question when he's talking to people: is where do you want the cigar to take you? And part of that is, what kind of time do you want to spend? If it's a quickie and you just want to go smoke something and go outside, and hit it for 10 minutes and come in, get something a little bit smaller.
But there is no real exact science.
There's no real science to it. There are some cigars that are that size that could take an hour and a half to smoke, just because the tobacco that's in it, the combustion rate is very slow.
Okay.
Well,
Adabates, for example, are very, very slow.
Just to give you an idea, this cigar was about that length when we started 55 minutes ago. And I'm halfway through it. It's just a slow combustion rate.
But she's been sticking with this one, and she's only halfway through, 55 minutes in.
Yep,
that's fantastic.
Good rule of thumb is about an hour. But if you're
I think it's 6 hours though, because I feel like I'm reading some comments, and like I said, if I go have a glass of wine with the girls, that's 10 hours for the glass, and so I can understand how this would probably be about 6 hours.
That's right, Sean. Please bring your wife in as
Sean
we talk
is saying,
about that one.
like I can see it.
It's a good rule of thumb is 6 hours.
6
for a cigar.
hours.
And Yvonne is saying that you're looking more relaxed with your cigar.
Yeah, I am. I'm getting more comfortable with it. This is really cool, and that's why this place is so great, because I don't have to sit in the corner and try to figure it out by myself.
You don't. You can if you'd like to.
Yeah,
but,
it's weird.
But you don't need to. You're exactly right.
And the thing is it's like anything. You can, with cigars, there's so much going on, and not all tobacco is created equal. And it's just, the more you learn about some of these different cigars, it is an opportunity for somebody that really wants to know everything about what's going on in a hobby.
Yeah.
This is one of those that has so many little nuances. But if you just want to sit down and go through the utility of smoking a cigar, and just do what you're doing it for. I notice, like when I work out of the house, it's just, there's that point in time where I just need a break, and the break equals I'm going to have a cigar, because I know if I don't, I'll take a sip of something, I'll go right back up and go to work. Yeah. This forces me to stop long enough to make sure that I enjoy the cigar for the importance of just stopping.
Just have that brain break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Carrie,
what do you think of your first Cigar 101?
I love it. It's fun. I wish everybody could do this.
I
wish everybody had a private cigar coach.
Well, private cigar coaches. That's what we need.
Oh, yeah, that is. So for those who are still watching, who are in or ducking in, Carrie Himmel runs real estate agency. Is that?
Yes.
I don't know the best way to classify it in your world.
Yes. So I have a real estate team. So I'm local, Frisco to Dallas, with Compass as my brokerage. But yeah.
She flies. She hustles.
Thank you.
She gets it done. There are many realtors. Just picture a realtor. Picture a realtor in your head. I think I know 3 of them that I like. I've met a lot of realtors. I like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Leo Seguin, Carrie Himmel, and Jeff Cheney.
Yep.
Those are the 3 realtors.
What's interesting is that's 3 times more people than I like that are insurance salesmen. I only like 1.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
And he pisses me off a lot too, but I only like 1.
I only like 1. That's it. So if you are buying, selling, leasing, renting, or
if you're just trying to get a house in the fastest growing city in America, this is the person.
Yes, call me.
Help you find one.
Yep.
Inventory still a little low?
It's very low. It's very low, but it's rising a little bit with the spring market. So especially here in Frisco, I think we had a little bit less than 100 houses on the market, and then this month we've got about 130. So we're seeing a little uptick for the spring market.
That is nothing.
But it's
how many million of realtors are there in Frisco?
Probably about 5 million realtors.
5 million realtors.
All trying to get those
130
houses. Yeah. It's
I think half of them are calling me up 4 times a day asking if I'd like to sell my house.
It's true. It's true.
Crazy.
Would you like to sell your house?
No.
Dang it.
No.
Well,
Although
we tried.
I get a lot of offers on Brandon's house, And no one's taken the 2 million yet.
Somebody's going to take 2 million. Hey, Frank Tomaszewski, you still watching? I've got a great house opportunity for you. You can buy my house. You don't have to even move far. Just go straight, put it into the trailer, take it next door. 2 million. Smooth.
2 million. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
With
And
that,
in this market, that is a deal.
Yes.
she said it. Give me $2 million, Frank. With that,
Just Venmo it. It's fine.
Venmo.
Venmo it. It's cool.
Venmo me $2 million. Give this a like. Give it a share. Give Carrie a follow.
Thanks, guys.
And get in here and smoke cigars as a couple.
Yeah, do it. Or
Watch us this week on Saturday at the shop. It's going to be a classic. Is it? No?
Maybe. I don't like when
we're going to
you say
have a
that.
car show this week.
Ooh.
We're going to have 25 guys driving up here from San Antonio, and they are a hoot. Those guys are just coming up to party,
That
hang
sounds
out
fun.
for 2 days. That's all they're going to do is come up here. Gold Leaf Cigar Club from San Antonio is coming up here just to hang out.
So the shop's
See what
going to be
happens.
lit, is
Shop-
what they're saying.
Shop's going to be full.
Shop's
gonna be
going to be
lit.
on fire.
Yeah.
Maybe literally. But car show, it's going to be a great weekend.
How do they learn more about you?
Instagram is probably the best thing. Carrie Himmel Frisco. You can go find me on Instagram or on Facebook. I think I shared this. I'm tagged in this. And find me up here, hanging out.
Until then, we will see you this
Next
week.
Or this week.